What's up, my Archfiends of Chaos? This is your Kid Rose Chaos Gaming and gamer, and I'm gonna be talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now, I don't think the whole play. To start with the controversial opinion I have. I don't think it's the exclusive thing that's really hurting the Final Fantasy stuff right now. I think it's just personal decisions and stuff like that. Now, I'm gonna just come in here and say I love Final Fantasy VII Rebirth a whole lot. I've actually went through 2 playthroughs. You know me, I'm a huge Final Fantasy VII anything. You just give me Cloud sitting on a toilet as a game, I'll play it. But I do have to give them constructive criticism because I think this is the company's narcissism when it comes to what's really going on. And most people avoid the truth. You know, the truth is the reason why this game didn't sell so well. And you know, look, to start off with the elephant in the room that everyone can agree with, whether you're left, right, I don't care who you are, in the middle, the ethics department. I think if we not listen to these new ethics department people to some degree. Now, I will say that Sid's story had to change because you're supposed to love Sid, and it's gonna be hard to love Sid when you see him yell at his wife and scream, "Drink your goddamn tea." Now, maybe you can keep the drink your goddamn tea, but you know, I personally think that if anything else, I think changing Sid was actually the one necessary thing the ethics department did. I would say is right because abuse is a very hard subject. This game's already dark as it is. If you go to Barrett's backstory, that thing broke me as a man. But let's get to all the wrongs. And I hate to be a negative Nancy, but let's talk about another elephant in the room. The mini games. The mini games to all hell side quests. And maybe it's because I personally hate Fort Condor, because how many guys I had to look up to beat Fort Condor to get the pieces to go see Gilgamesh. I think we should just have like regular quests where you just go fight a boss, get the Proto Relic, then go fight Gilgamesh. I don't think everything should be a mini game. Now, Queen's Blood and Chocobo Racing should stay, because those were very fun. In fact, if they made a Queen's Blood game and a Queen's Blood game, by itself, I think I would thoroughly enjoy it. In fact, I would even do more streams of Queen's Blood because I love the card game so much. That's the one new addition that was actually corrected. But the minigames, all to hell. Now, the Chocobo Racing, people can hate if they want, but that's one thing that they kept original, and I like that. And the Chocobo, I think they could have not messed with the map so much and made a different map, but, it is what it is. But I think that's a necessary mini game. Like when you have to go out of your way to, go find Barrett and Dine. Oh, we're actually going to chase Dine, but we think it's Barrett's. We think it's Barrett. That's the one who, shot up all those people in Gold Saucer. We had to play the Chocobo minigame, which to be honest, I'm not mad about that, to be real honest. I think that, that was a necessary thing. And I like Solomon Gus better, but yeah, too many minigames. Too many minigames, I would say. Way too many minigames. I think if we could just, cut those down just a little bit, that would be better. I hope in part 3 we do that. Just keep the beloved minigames like the Chocobo Racing, Queen's Blood, and, snowboarding in part 3. Let's not lock every quest behind the quest line, and platinum trophies behind just the minigames. Of course, you're going to have to play the minigames and get good at the minigames in order to platinum, but, for, regular quest stuff, just to get summons like Gilgamesh, I think we could probably do away with, the mini games all to hell thing, and focus on Final Fantasy VII story, as we should. That's another gripe I think is possible. So it's not, again, this is not console exclusive. Another thing I will say that I think that could have happened, they could have thrown Vincent as a playable character. If not Sid, they could have at least thrown Vincent. Because all they had to do was use the moveset he uses when you fight him as a boss. You know, where he could just turn the Galleon Beast and only have a few moves. He just won't have very many moves. Or, like Red 13, he could have been an AI assisted control character. You know, there was actually no excuse for doing it. Now I understand. They want to say the spectacle. But they've already ruined a lot of their spectacles, which I'm going to get to that too. And that's another reason why they lost sales. Is that you can't say that you're trying to do something and then undo it at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Which, again, this will have spoilers in there, and I will put that in the title so people know who have not played Rebirth. But you'll understand why I'm talking about. It's like, you can't say you don't want people want to ruin the spectacle when you already have. That's called cognitive dissonances. I think Vincent could have been in the game. Even just with his own boss moveset. And even the art book has his gun. It'd just be gun moves, regular magic, a couple special moves that he did in his beast form, and then limit break beast form. And he just would stop right there. He won't have any other gun options or any, you know, limit break transformations until part 3, which would be fair, but they could have had Vincent in there. Either they're saving it for DLC, or maybe they really are trying to make it a spectacle in part 3, which, again, that was another bad choice, because a lot of people like, because Vincent Valentine's a popular character. Now, I'm going to get over that and not cry so much about that, because it's just a personal gripe. The other gripe I have is multiverse and time traveling. And the reason why I have a gripe with the time traveling thing and multiverse, I'm going to be honest. I don't care what fiction you write. Stephen Hawking wrote the very first books on time traveling. And even he couldn't figure out the shit he was writing. Even he had problems with the stuff he was writing when he was around. So I would avoid time traveling in multiverse. And I understand the Marvel movies are very popular. And, you know, you have to keep up with the times. But, you know, the thing is, and like I said, I'm only giving constructive criticism, and this is out of love, no hate. I really hope that Part 3 does come out. I really want to see a Dirge of Cerberus remake. I do want to see more projects from Square Enix, but they do need to learn from their losses. I mean, it's good they quit the mobile games, and I'm glad they quit doing the mobile games. And they quit making smaller games too. They're focused on the big budget title. Keep doing that. But this is just something to learn from. If you're going to do multiverse and timeline stuff, you have to make it fluid. You have to make it look like it makes sense. None of it makes sense. And look, I'll be honest. I watched Dragon Ball Z The Android Saga when Future Trunks came in and killed Frieza and King Cold. And even that one, and as much sense as that made, it still never made sense at the very end. Because one Trunks dies by Cell, which is the one that defeated Cold and Frieza, and then another one from a different timeline came to ours when we were chasing down Dr. Gero, so it changed a whole bunch, and then, you know, Krillin killed Baby Cell inside the present timeline. But you see how confusing that is, and that version of time traveling is well written, way more than Marvel, way more than this, way more than anything else. I would have. Personally, now they have to finish with the time traveling multiverse thing because they've already started this with remake. So, you know, there's nothing that can actually be done about that. So, but if you're gonna write in part 3, let's try to make it make sense. Let's try to get everything connected. You know, let's explain the different worlds in a way where it's not overlapping each other. Because confusion will only make people not want to be interested. It's going to be hard to care about something. And then also, if a character's supposed to die, it's like we think about and I'm getting to that later on. But then we think about, why am I sad? I could just go back in I mean, you shouldn't, because that causes causality and time paradoxes, just like how Caius did in Final Fantasy 13 too. But you could just grab, let's say, a Zack from a timeline if he's dead. So it's like, you know, it kills the stakes a little bit. And they're going to have to sacrifice Zack in part 3. Zack has to die in part 3. He just has to. It's just, you know, he's just one of the characters. Because he's the reason why Cloud got, you know, it's how Cloud's going to get his identity shape later. So Cloud maybe dies against Sephiroth, and then Cloud has to step in that leader role completely as Cloud Strife and not Zack Fair. But you know, another thing too was, you know, the skipping of Bone Village straight to the. Now maybe Bone Village became the the village of the Gi, and maybe that's what happened. But we didn't get to see the full Forgotten Capital. I hope we could see it in part 3. The ending was very. And then let's talk about the 5-hour Sephiroth fight. And I don't care. Now, I will say the good thing is it is hard. And just in normal mode alone, you know, it is like fighting an Elden Ring boss, especially when he does Heartless Angel, and then he could spam 2 Octa Slashes on top of you. You know, back to back, which is, you know, makes an Elden Ring boss, which is, I'll be honest, they did very well in the boss fight. The only thing I have a problem is it's too long and it's confusing because now Zack jumps into the timeline to help fight Sephiroth, which, you know, comes from a different world to help you fight Sephiroth. Okay, I like that Cloud and Zack fought, you know, it was good fan fiction to have Cloud and Zack fight side by side against Sephiroth, you know. It was a nice fan fit, but again, like I said, it messes up in things, and the time paradox even gets worse. Not only that, but it makes the whole fighting confusing, because are we fighting in different dimensions? Like the different Sephiroth battles where you have to fight your team, Zack, and then Cloud. So are we fighting in 3 different dimensions now? So in time dimensions and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, I like that they have reborn Sephiroth, because after this, they're gonna have to use Safer Sephiroth in part 3. You know. But it's just, I gotta be honest, it's like, here's the thing. You know, the whole fight's confusing, because is your party like one dimension, Zack's the lower dimension, Cloud's the top? It was very confusing. Like I told you about, you know, using the multiverse and time travel. Even Marvel, like I said, it's too convoluted for Marvel. Even just the comics, not even talking about the movies, I'm talking about the old comics. I mean, it takes me back to the whole Spider-Man clone saga, where they just did too much in Secret Wars. It's like, are we going that? Because if you're doing that, we're going to have to make it make sense. And another thing that I think that could probably help in part 3 is we see less of Aerith. And this is where I put in the spoil right now. The problem I have is, like I said, Aerith could come from a different timeline. So the sacrifice of Aerith meant nothing. It was supposed to be the tipping point that pissed you off to fight Sephiroth, telling you that Sephiroth is no longer human. Kill Sephiroth. So that's another thing too. This takes the impact of her death out of, you know, with less serious. So may the crystal bless you. I hope Square takes the criticism and like and subscribe.